book when I was about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a speculative fiction author tackling billionaireism and climate change with psychedelic therapy, none other than Miss Diana Colleen.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much for having me.
Yes, welcome, Miss Diana on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yeah, I'm originally from Canada, so I still consider myself to be a Canadian author, but I'm living in Seattle, Washington now. Um, I had a very different kind of childhood and adolescence. I grew up with a lot of trauma and poverty. And in 2018, I hit rock bottom and was suicidal. And I was very fortunate to find an underground psychedelic assisted therapist who I believe saved my life. And since then, I've become a trained psychedelic facilitator myself. And this book sort of grew out of that, and it the entire book came to me through meditation. So I feel like it was given to me, and yeah, it's a hopeful dystopian near future speculative fiction. So it's different than a lot of other books because it really is hopeful.
Miss Diana Colleen, thank you so much for sharing your debut book with the world. And congratulations! And looking forward for more and more empowering books like this to come.
Thank
The
you.
title, They Could Be Savior, is incredibly proactive. It is immediately set up tension between potential and reality. What is the central question you were exploring about power, redemption, and responsibility that led you this specific title?
So the title, I think it was my fourth iteration of a title, and it's really a question. And once you read the book, you're going to question who the saviors are. So it could be the billionaires, it could be the women who um, are the psychedelic therapists in the book, and it could be the medicines that they're using. So any one of the three elements in the book could be the saviors, because, uh, or maybe it's all three together. Um, because if one of those elements was missing, uh, climate change wouldn't be solved. And so, and it's also, as far as billionaires go, in my opinion, I believe that they have enough power and enough wealth that they could be doing so much more for us. They could actually be solving climate change right now, but they're not. They're using their resources for things that I think a lot of us don't really agree with. And without a planet, there's nothing else that matters. So, in the book, I talk about how climate change really is our the only thing that we should be thinking about right now, because if we don't have clean air and clean water, we can't survive. So all of the other things that, yes, they're very, very important, like equality and wars and all of that, we won't need to solve those things if we don't have a livable planet.
Livable planet for sure. And let's talk about your billionaires. In genre that often paints them as a straightforward villains, your approach
Right.
seems more nuanced. How did you go about humanizing these incredibly powerful figures without absolving them of the consequences of their actions? And what did you discover about their psychology in the process?
Yeah, I love the question because I do believe that most people, they're on one side or the other. You either love billionaires, you think they're heroes, you think they're doing really wonderful things for humanity, or you're on the other side where you think they're supervillains who are destroying everything and they shouldn't exist. And this book really looks at it. It looks at billionaires as human beings. So they're human beings with a mental illness. And I think we can all agree that mental illness is something that should be taken seriously. So that's how the book presents billionaires in a very um, balanced way. So so you really are seeing these characters as human beings who have had their own traumas, who have, uh, you know, they've had their own experiences that have made their personalities what they are. And I think we can all kind of relate to that. But they are still being held accountable. So they they face what they are doing. So the psychedelic therapy shows them what their behavior has done to the rest of us. So they're not getting off the hook. They are still being held accountable, but they're seen as humans like the rest of us.
Miss Triana, psychedelic therapy as a tool for billionaire accountability is fascinating and unconventional concept. It's not a courtroom or a prison, but an internal journey. What led you to envision this as the primary mechanism for forcing accountability? Are you suggesting that true change must be rooted in profound internal shift rather than external punishment?
Yeah, punishment is a an interesting thing. I don't think that as humans we change because of punishment. Um, or if we do, we haven't actually changed ourselves. We haven't changed our beliefs. We're just conforming to what is expected. But when you change yourself, when you have an internal transformation, um, that's lasting. That is profound, and um, it, it's when you drop the stories that you've created about yourself, and you take responsibility for everything in your life. So um, people have things happen to them, um, but you're still responsible for the choices you make regarding those things that happen to you. So having that internal transformation, you're taking responsibility for your own life and responsibility for how your actions impact others.
The fight for our future suggests a race against time. What is the specific near future threat or tipping point in your world that forces this radical intervention? Is it ecological collapse, societal breakdown, or something more insidious?
It's actually not really any of those things. The near future aspect of the novel allowed me to use technologies that don't exist in the world today. So the near future stuff is all about the technology used to kidnap the billionaires and to sort of keep them in this facility that's hidden. So that's the really the only part that is near future. The rest of it is basically what we're living with today. So um, in the novel, the the um, the sea levels are rising, but they haven't risen to a point where it's catastrophic. So it's basically the same climate change that we're living with today. And I personally feel that it is urgent, that it needs to be taken more seriously. It's it scares me that people don't even believe that it's real or that humans are accelerating it. I think that people think that the Earth has gone in cycles before, where it gets really cold, it gets really hot, it gets really cold, it gets really hot. And yes, if you look at the cycles of the Earth, that is very true. Um, but if you look at the history of like the cycle that we're in now, it's plain as day that humans are accelerating the next, heat. I don't want to say heat wave, but we are increasing the temperature on this planet. And yes, it might have, gone up without us, but it would not have gone up as quickly. And so we really need to take responsibility for that. And if we fail, um, we're all going to be extinct, and the planet will survive, and other things will replace us, but humans could easily go extinct.
Human, of course, will extinct. And speculative fiction holds a mirror to our present. What current trend or emerging technology in our world today did you extrapolate to create the most chilling or thought provoking aspect of your novel setting?
Um, I use a virtual reality headset in the book. It's way more advanced than our own, where you can touch things and smell, and it's like you're really there. You can go for a hike up Everest and feel like you're really there. So that's one of the big technologies, and um, the other ones I used. Transportation, so it's, being able to move people and objects, um, basically kind of like a transporter, from Star Trek. So I was a Trekkie, and
Hmm.
I have some similarities with the technology in this book as Star Trek, so, that's where I kind of got my ideas from. But there's nothing like, sinister, I guess, about the technologies. I think if they actually ever do exist, I think they will be good for humanity, especially the transportation without any kind of pollution. I think that's a big deal.
Definitely, that's the big deal. Who is the protagonist we follow through this story, Miss Diana? Is it one of the billionaires undergoing this therapy, a therapist fighting to make it happen, or a character from outside looking in? Why was their perspective the essential lens for this narrative?
So this book is kind of different in that there's no clear protagonists and antagonists. You can look at kind of two groups of people. You've got the billionaires and you've got therapists, and they're both they can both be seen as antagonists and they can both be seen as protagonists. But the main character is Josh Latham. He's a billionaire, and he um I think people will see some similarities to some very well-known billionaires that are real. But he is the main character, and he is the one that has the biggest redemption arc. And he starts out as somebody that you really dislike, but at the end, he kind of becomes a hero.
And Miss Diana, psychedelics can force a confrontation with the self. In your narrative, what is the most difficult truth one of those powerful individuals is forced to face about the real world impact of their choices. Can you give us a glimpse into a moment of reckoning?
Yeah, let's see. So one of the sort of more minor characters, um, he's a billionaire, but he's kind of more of a good guy, I guess. But in his final psychedelic journey, um, he he's a software computer guy, and he realizes that he has been funding the destruction of forests and oceans and, you know, the planet with, um, like, technology centers and, um, he's always thought of himself as somebody who has done a lot of good for humanity, but he realizes that, um, just because he's done a lot of good doesn't erase all of the bad and the harm that he's caused.
Interesting, Miss Diana. As a debut author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Short term, so my book launches on January 13th, and, right now I'm trying to get as many, ARC readers as possible. So it it's actually surprising how hard it is to give away a book. So I am looking for people who will read the book before launch and, leave an honest review, once it does launch. And, I'm gathering trade reviews right now. I actually just today got a star review from Blue Ink Reviews, and that's a huge thing because only 5% of books receive a star. So I'm over the moon with that. It's the first time that I've gotten outside feedback, other than families and friends. So it's the first time I'm like, "Oh, I actually wrote a good book." Because, your family and friends, they're gonna tell you it's great. So this is confirmation that it is a good book. So that's my short-term goal is getting as many readers as possible for launch, and then long term, obviously writing more books. I've got, 2 this I haven't been promoting this one as like a series or anything, but it's probably going to be a trilogy. I've got 2 more, with these characters in my head, and then I have another book that's completely different that I'm really excited to write, but right now, it's all of my time is spent doing the marketing on this one, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to write, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to writing.
Wow, looking forward for that books, Miss Diana, and good luck to your goals and
Thank
more
you.
success. And what would be a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Never give up. It's and I think at the beginning, don't look at too much, industry stuff. Just write, because if I had known how hard this was going to be and how much work it was gonna take, I probably wouldn't have started. So I'm really glad that I didn't know all of the industry stuff when I started writing. I think, once you've got a first draft down, absolutely start taking classes, join groups, especially critique groups, learn as much as you can about the industry, but don't do it until you've written your first draft or you're never gonna do it. I think that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yes, thank you for that advice, Miss Diana. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Absolutely. My favorite book and the one that, um, really made the most impact on my book is Ishmael by Daniel Quinn. It's actually mentioned in my book a couple of times, and I think it should be required reading for everyone. It's it will change the way you think about humanity and the myths that we live by and how we might start dismantling these myths, kind of like me with billionaires. I believe that we have um, made billionaireism into this success story, and it's a myth that billionaires are these people that we should strive to be like. And I want to reframe that as billionaireism is a mental illness, and I hope that as a society we can start looking at it that way.
Miss Diana, thank you for that recommended book. And tell us, the book sits at the fascinating crossroads of economics, psychology, and spirituality. Which of these domains did you find was the most challenging to integrate authentically into a compelling narrative?
I'm sorry, I missed a couple of the things that you said. I heard the psychedelic therapy.
Yes. So the book sits a fascinating crossroads of economics, psychology, and spirituality. Which of these domains did you find was the most challenging to integrate authentically into a compelling narrative?
Economics, because I have no I don't really know too much about economics, but I know a lot about psychology and spirituality. So there isn't a whole lot of economics in it. It's just, the inequality, the that billionaires. I I guess it's the system, and the system that allows billionaires to exist. And it's not really talked about that much in the book, but that's the message that I want to get out, is that we need to change the system that allows billionaires to exist.
Well, Miss Diana, before we wrap up the discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Diana, imagine for a moment that the core idea of your book, a method to enforce genuine accountability, empathy upon the ultra powerful, what somehow implemented in our world tomorrow, what is the first most significant change you believe we would see?
I think people working together towards the same goal rather than working against each other, and kind of like one-upmanship, and the egos involved wouldn't be so big. They would actually want to work together, and would value other people's opinions.
Yes, definitely, Miss Diana Colleen. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And we are
Thank you
hoping
so
for
much for having
more
me.
and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming? They could be saviors.
Yeah, you can find me at dianacolleenauthor.com. And if you just send me an email at at the address that you find on my website. And if you'd like to be an ARC reader, just let me know and I will get a copy to you.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Diana Colleen because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Diana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really great.
More to come, people. See you